Hey there everyone, this is Mark from the Relic Hunters team, and this is it. We finally have Steam Workshop support for Relic Hunters 0, and today I'm gonna teach you how to make a gun. Right now we only have gun mods in the game. You can't make anything else really at the moment. So I'm going to walk you through some steps to actually create a gun mod. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get the gun mod example files. The link is in the description, so you can download these example files, and if everything is right, you're going to see my laptop's kind of slow today. So if everything is right, you're going to see these files here. So there is a mod.vdf file, a preview file, and a contents folder. Inside the contents folder, you should have a config.json. Another JSON that we use just so you can have an idea of the ranges of the variables. This is not really used. A README file with some explanations about what's going on, and the sprite sheet for your repo. So you can see here that the gun mod example, it comes with a recolored sprite of one of our guns. My notebook's so slow. There we go. So we have an example gun here. So this is a preview image. It's 512 by 512 pixels. It's the image that you're going to see on Steam Workshop when your mod, it's uploaded. So you can do whatever you want here. And then we have the mod.vdf. You can open VDF files with the notepad. Like the regular Windows notepad you can open the VDF with. I use a program called Notepad++. It's free, it's really good. So you can either like open with the notepad like this, and you can see it here, and you can edit it, or, and I recommend it, you can download Notepad++ and open it with Notepad++. It's a bit better. So you can see here the mod.vdf is already filled up with some information. I'm gonna walk you through all of this. And the actual contents of the mod, it's another file that you can open with Notepad or with Notepad++. It's called config.json. You can open this, and there you go. We have several variables. If you have watched my previous tutorial on weapon mods and Relic Hunters using the source code, the open source, this is going to be familiar to you. So that's pretty much it for the configuration files. And you can see here the sprite sheet has the actual sprites of the weapon. Regular one, outline, and white. So this is what a mod looks like when it's done. So let's go step by step in how to make your own. Pretty much from scratch. So here I have my final folder with the mod that I'm gonna create. So the first thing you probably want to do is to create a sprite for your gun. I usually recommend two things. I recommend you have a reference image. So for me, it's this one. I found this modified NERF gun, which is really awesome, like a revolver with 3 barrels, super cool. The link for this is in the description if you like NERF guns, mods, things like that. It's really interesting. But I thought this gun was awesome, and I decided to make a mod for it, Relic Hunters. So always have a reference image. If you can find like a side look like this is perfect. Especially if you, like me, you're not an artist, so you have a little bit of trouble getting things done. You do this. So the next thing you want to do is to open some kind of image editing software. We can I use Photoshop. You can use GIMP if you don't want to pay for Photoshop. You can use even MS Paint, because you're not gonna really be doing anything too complex here. So what I recommend you do is that you look at the already existing weapons in the game, and you find one that looks kinda like what you want to do, and use that as a starting point. So for me, I have used this weapon here, the heavy pistol. If you don't know how to get the sprites, you can actually find the sprites on the source files for the game. You can download from GitHub. If you don't know how to do that, there's a link in the description for the tutorial setting up. You can just download the project files there. You can see all the images for Relic Hunter 0 there. So I just got this heavy pistol sprite here, and what I usually do is that I try to have my reference image on the side, and I start modifying this one to look like this one, right? Usually what I start doing is to separate the colors that I'm gonna use. I recommend you use 3 colors. It's simpler and usually looks nicer. If you try to use too many colors, you're probably gonna end up with a messy looking gun. I usually work with 3. And also what you want to do is use a pencil with 1 pixel. You just want to use the little dots. You don't want to use brush tools or anything like that, because if you do, it's gonna be blurry. See, that's not what you want. Like the images in Relic Hunters, they're very sharp, very blocky look. If you try to make it too detailed, it's not gonna look good in the game as well. You see this gun here, say, hey, this is kind of ugly. In the game, it looks great because it fits the overall aesthetic. So try not to do it too detailed, or you're gonna end up with a weird looking gun that doesn't fit the game really well. Unless that's what you want to do. If you want to mod the entire game to look like whatever you want. But if you're just making a gun, I recommend you do that. So what you're gonna end up with is something like this. So I went ahead and did this. It looks a little bit like our reference image there, a little bit. So now that you have this, you want to actually have the sprite sheet file done. To create the sprite sheet file, what I recommend you do is that first of all, you create like a green background, some like really solid color to help you see what's going on, and then you triple the size, the horizontal size of the image. So what you end up with, however you want to do this, depending on the software you're using. If you're using Photoshop like me, just go to image canvas size 300%. What you're gonna end up with is something like this. So you can then duplicate the layers and move them around, and duplicate again and move them around. There you go. So you have 3 guns. They are exactly the same width from each other, right? So what you want to do now is you want to make sure that one of the guns has a perfect white outline. So you just grab your pencil tool and you just go painting. Sorry. You just go painting the white outline. It's 2 pixels wide. So just gonna cut to the final version of this. So there you go. You have a regular gun, and then you have a gun with a white outline. And for the third gun, what you want to do is have it all white. The easiest way to do it, this one is already done, but I can show you with another file. The easiest way to do it, usually in any editing software, you can use the lighting. So for Photoshop, you just go Ctrl U or hue saturation and just increase the lightness to the maximum. And then you get this blown out white sprite. But the important thing is that the end result should be, let me just toggle the green background so you guys can see it better. You have the regular gun, and then you have the gun with the white outline, 2 pixels wide, and then you have the gun full white without the green background, transparent background. And then you just save this as your sprite sheet. So you can go here and just override this one, sprite sheet. There we go. So if you did everything correctly, you should see, no, wrong folder. Where's the gun example 2? Oh, here it is. So you should see on the contents folder, sprite sheet, you should have your file, and it should be like this. It should be like a transparent background, the normal gun, white outline gun, full white gun. So cool, now that we have our sprite, we can also use it to do our preview file. So you create a 512 by 512 image, you see? and then you just put whatever you want here. Usually I go with the sprites. I have it. Then you kind of enlarge it a little bit. Then you write something cool on it and make a background, whatever you want. You're gonna end up with something like this. So there you go. This is the image that people are gonna see on the Steam Workshop. So make sure you do something that entices people to actually click on it, but most importantly, that clearly shows what the mod is about. So in this case, it's a gun, a triple revolver. We have the sprite here really big, and we make it clear that this is just the example mod. This is something that I created for educational purposes, even though it's a pretty good gun. So okay, so now that you have the sprite, you have done the hardest part really, because now you probably have a pretty good idea of what you want to create. So what I want to do now is you want to go to config.json. Just to be clear, if you download the final example, you're gonna see two JSON files, okay? Config.json is the one that matters. Anything else, anything with any other name, is not gonna be loaded, okay? So we just created this one so you can have an idea of the ranges and the variables and things like that. So it's just a reference file. So let's go see what I did with my gun here. So again, you can open this with the regular notepad, or you can use a software like Notepad++, which I like. So here, this is gonna come all filled up with other numbers, and you can just change the variables to fit what you think your gun is. So type gun, don't mess with this, we're just making guns at this point in the game. And the name, you put here the name of the gun. You have to be very careful not to delete the commas and not to delete any of the signs here, because this can make your JSON unreadable if you make a mistake here. So you just have to go weapon class, which choose pistol. Sound is also pistol. If you're confused about the options here, that's why we have that config example.json. So you can see we have all the options here laid out for you. So if you wanted this to be a rifle, you put rifle here on the weapon class. But we want this to be a pistol. So it's a pistol. It sounds like a pistol. Each projectile, I said it would be 18 damage. This is the range in units. 450 is about pistol range in the game. If it's piercing or not, if it's gonna go through enemies, it doesn't, so I just put 0 here. You can go 1, 2, 3, like the number of enemies that this is gonna go through. You have the projectile recoil. This is how much the aim is affected by shooting. I just put 2, a really low value. Projectile power is how much you push enemies back when they're hit. Since this is gonna fire 3 projectiles at the same time, we don't want to do too much projectile power, or we're just gonna be pushing enemies all the way back. At least I don't want to do that. If you want to do a knockback gun or something like that, you probably want to crank this up to a high number. Projectile speed is how fast the bullet travels. 50 I feel is a good number, especially for pistol. If this was a sniper rifle, a long range weapon, probably higher. If it was like a slow plasma gun or something like that, definitely lower. Projectile speed decay, this is a bit more complicated. This is how much the speed of the projectile changes over time. So if you put this decay on 5, it is going to lose 5 points of speed over a period of time. Like, it's going to start slowing down. So it starts really fast and slows down. You can also do a negative number here if you want the projectile speed to increase. So for rockets, for example, you start with a slow speed here, and then you just go for a projectile speed decay of a negative number. It's going to slowly increase the speed and go really fast. Accuracy. Accuracy is the hip fire variation. So higher is worse, okay guys? So 10 means that there's a random 10 degrees kinda angle that is gonna be randomized when you shoot, okay? So accuracy aiming is the same thing, but when you're aiming with the laser sight. So I want this to be more accurate when you aim with the laser sights. so we're going for 3 degrees when you're on the laser sights. Ammo is how much ammo can fit in the magazine. This is a revolver kind of weapon, so we don't want to go too high. I put 8. Felt good. Ammo type is light, medium, or heavy ammo. We go for medium ammo. Ammo cost is how much ammo per bullet this weapon is going to consume. If you make a really powerful gun, you can balance it out by making it use a lot of ammo. So you can get away with really overpowered guns in Relic Hunters, as long as you balance out the costs and resources, and making sure that you take into consideration that light ammo is more common, and medium is rarer, and heavy ammo is the rarest of all the 3 ammo types. So reload time is how much time in seconds it is going to take you to reload your weapon. Fire rate is how many bullets you can fire in a second. No, sorry. So how many seconds it takes between shots. So this is lower the better, okay? If you reduce this, it's going to take less time between shots, which makes the weapon fire faster. We also have the decay. Remember the decay from the projectile speed? Same thing here for fire rate. The idea is that as you fire the weapon, it's going to slow down. You can also do a negative number if you want to do kind of a minigun that starts to warm up and shoot faster and faster. So you use a negative value here, it's going to increase. The recovery is how fast it returns to the normal fire rate, and the decay minimum is the minimum value that it can decay to. So you don't let it go below this value. Fire amount is the number of bullets that come out on a single at the same time. So this is not burst fire. This is not a sequence of shots. It's like a shotgun. So you pull the trigger, 3 bullets come out at the same time. So this is a triple revolver. So that's what we want to happen. So it shoots 3 bullets at the same time. And then you have fire automatic. This is 0 or 1. 0 false if you want the gun to be semi-automatic, or you put 1 here, which means true, if you want the gun to be fully automatic. And burst fire, this is how many bullets you fire like in a burst, like in a sequence. So if I put 3 here, it's gonna fire and then again and then again. It's like the assault pistol or the rifle, right? It fires a burst. Usually you want to leave this 1 unless you want to do a burst firing weapon. The burst fire rate is the interval between the burst fire. Since it's just 1, it doesn't really make a difference. It could be 0.1 or 9. In our case, it doesn't really make a difference. Shake amount is how much the screen is going to shake each time a bullet is fired. So in this case, we put 5, crunchy kind of feeling. Crosshair recoil is how much your crosshair is going to react when you shoot. This is just for aesthetic purposes, but it's really cool. If you tune it really well, people are going to like your weapon more because it's going to feel better to play. So make sure you tune these values and you test it out and see if it feels good and tweak it. Same thing here, the joypad rumble factor is how much the gamepad is going to vibrate when you shoot. You want this to feel really good. You don't want to have too much nor too little. Just find a sweet spot there. For me, that's 0.1 on this gun. The projectile here, we go for the default bullet, but we have plenty of options. You can look at the reference JSON file. Drop casing, this is 1 or 0. 1 for true, we are going to drop bullet casings, and 0 if we don't want to drop bullet casings for some reason. If it goes through walls, does it go through walls? 0 for no, 1 if we say yes. In this case, we don't want to go through walls, so we put 0 here. Projectile bounce. Does this gun bounces? No, it doesn't. So we go for 0 here. Projectile bounce max. How many times it's gonna bounce? If you put 0 here, it is not gonna bounce anywhere. So this is good. Beam thickness. So if we're making a beam type of gun, which we're not, we should fill this up. If you are making a beam gun like a laser or something like that, you want to fill this up. This is how thick the beam is gonna look. and the colors. So this is RGB color. If you don't know what RGB color is, I can give you a quick explanation. So if you want to make, say you want to make a green kind of laser, if you use any image program and you just click on the color, you're gonna see the RGB values right here. It's a way to encode color information in 3 channels, red, green, and blue. So if you want this green to be your beam, you just copy here these values and put into your JSON. So we go here, we do go 2, and then we would go 203 here, and then 30 on the blue. Okay. Since we're not making a beam type of weapon, we don't need to fill this up. Leave everything in 0 just in case. So these last values, they're really important. So the first is origin X and origin Y. What does that mean? We need to know where the character is going to hold the weapon. Where is the grip? Okay. This is really important because it will define where the gun is positioned and also where it rotates from. So if you put a wrong value here, your gun is gonna look weird to the sides. It's not gonna rotate properly. It's gonna look weird. So how do you know which coordinates? These are coordinates on the X axis and the Y axis. How do you know? Usually 1414 or 1212 works, but if you want to be sure, you just go to your gun file and you check which pixel is the grip. So for us is around here. There we go. So this is 1414. So this is where we want width. You see W is the X, H is the Y, goes for width. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, I'm not American. And H for height. It's X and Y. So X14, Y14. We put this right here. Make sure our gun rotates really nice. And sprites W and sprites H. It's the sprite width and the sprite height. You just have to see. You can check on your operational system. You can go here. If you're using Windows, you can go to the sprite sheet file that you created and just check it right here. On details, you can see it's 180 for 22. But what you want to know is the size of a single image of the gun. So just divide 180 by 3. So 180 divided by 3 is 60, right? Because we have 3 guns side by side. So just make sure this is the value of a single gun width and the height. So you can always take your final file, get the width divided by 3, you get this. I know it's confusing, guys. If you don't understand this, please ask in the comments or the forums or Discord. I'm pretty sure that this is a very helpful and friendly community, and people can help you out with this and explain. And finally, these last 2 values here, we have price. It's how much your gun costs when you're playing endless mode, because you can play with the gun on endless mode. And this is the cost in bounty. And the tier is the rarity of the gun. It's either 1, 2, or 3. Okay, this is going to determine how often your gun is going to drop on chests in the level, and also how often it's going to appear in the shop. So make sure if you make a super powerful gun and you want to be balanced, you want to maybe increase the price and increase the rarity tier. Okay, so congratulations, if you fill this up, your gun is pretty much complete. Okay, so what we want to do now is that we want to actually upload this to Steam. So if you have been following this precisely, right now you have a preview file here. It's not bigger than 1 megabyte. It's 512 by 512. The size you can see here. Okay, it looks good. You're satisfied with how it looks. You're gonna look on the Steam Workshop, and then you have your mod.vdf file that we're gonna open in just a minute. In your contents, you have your JSON that you just configured, and you have your sprite sheet that you have created with your awesome looking gun. Okay, so what do you do now? We gotta fill this one up, the mod.vdf. Again, you can open this with a regular notepad. I choose to use Notepad++. So we go for this. So the first thing you're gonna see, this is gonna be 0. Okay, this one. App ID, do not touch this. This is the Relic Hunter's app ID. This one is gonna be 0. Afterwards, it's gonna be automatically filled by this number. Is a number like that. Right now is 0. And then you have the content folder and the preview file. So this, you got to point this to where your contents folder is, and you've got to point this to where your preview file is. Okay, guys? So what you want to do is you want to come here to contents, and you want to copy this. Okay, so you want to point your VDF file to the correct path. So you paste this here, and then he's gonna ask, where is your preview file? You do the same thing for the preview file. So it's here, okay? Just copy this and you paste here, and you go preview.png or whatever the name of your preview file is. I recommend you leave it as preview.png. Visibility. So this one, 0 means it's public. So if you do this on 0, everybody's gonna instantly be able to see your gun. If you go for 1, only your friends and you are gonna be able to see it, and 2, only you. Okay, I recommend you use 1 or 2, probably 1, so you can have people give you feedback if you want to fine-tune your gun, see how it looks, and whenever you're ready you can change it to 0. Okay, so whenever you change it to 0, your gun is live, it's published, and everybody in the world can see it. So here you put a title. It's gonna ask for title, just put the title here. You can change that later on Steam, but I recommend you just get it right the first time. And a small description of what your gun is and what's the idea behind it, something that makes people want to actually install it. And the change note, this is for whenever you do an update or things like that. You can write a change note, let people know, like add the damage from 8 to 12, something like that, okay? To let people know that you have changed something, what it is. It's your patch notes. Okay, so if your mod.vdf looks something like this, again, this is gonna be at 0 for you, okay, the first time. Afterwards, it's gonna be automatically filled by this weird big number here. If you have everything ready, you are done. You're done. So your mod is done. You have everything you need to upload this to Steam. So what do you want to do now? You want to download a little program called Steam CMD. This is a public file that Valve allows you to download. The link is below on the description. You just download it. You double click it. It's going to download a bunch of updates. It's going to take a bit of a time depending on how fast your internet is. And then it's gonna fill the folder with all this cool stuff here. Okay, so after you have opened it and for the first time it downloads a bunch of stuff, you want to actually start using Steam CMD, okay? So the first thing you want to do is to log in. You go here, log in, and then you put your Steam username, whatever it is, your Steam username, and then your password, okay? I'm obviously not gonna type my username and password on YouTube, so I'm just gonna skip ahead this part. Okay, so after you have successfully logged in, what you want to do is that you want to get this little line here. Okay, so workshop underline build underline item, and then the path to your VDF file. If you don't know what that file is, you can go here. Where is your mod folder? Okay, same thing you did before. This is your mod.vdf. You just copy this. Okay, so here we go. What was it again? Workshop build item. So just go workshop build item, and then you paste that path. Then you go mod.vdf. Okay, so if you did everything right, you're gonna be seeing this pop up. It's gonna prepare the update, prepare the content, upload the content, the preview image. It's gonna commit. Success. You're done. You're done. Just type quit, and that's it. If you've done everything right, you're gonna be able to enter Steam, okay? And when you enter Steam, you're gonna see your mod on the Steam Workshop. Sometimes it takes a while, okay? So don't panic if you don't see your mod. Sometimes you might need to restart Steam until you can see it. So if you go to the Community Hub, and then you go to Workshop, you're gonna see your item there. If you set it to 0, everybody in the world is gonna see it. 1, just your friends, and 2, just you. Make sure you're logged in, okay? And then you can check your gun out and subscribe to it, even upvote it, and then you can, as soon as you click, you're gonna be ready to go. Okay, so logging into the game after you have subscribed to your Steam Workshop item, you should be able to play with your gun. The easiest way is to go to adventure mode, and it's gonna be right here. This altar is just for the gun mods. You can just click here with E, and it's going to cycle through all of the weapon mods that you have subscribed. Here it is, triple revolver. Here we go. Looks really nice. Fires 3 projectiles. Uses heavy ammo. Everything that we have decided to do with it. You can see it right here. Let's take it for a spin, quick spin. So this is pretty much it. This is how I make guns for Relic Hunter Zero. It's that simple. Of course, I did not get this gun right in my first try. I had to deploy it once, and then test it in game, and then adjust a few values, things like that. So definitely want to do that. You're probably not going to be perfect the first time you try it. Just keep improving, changing the values, get feedback from your friends, and you can have a really cool gun. This is really awesome. The triple shots are so cool. You can aim for a more precise shooting. It's really cool. Okay, so that's it. I hope you like this brief tutorial about how to make weapon mods. We hope to have mods for characters coming soon, and anything else that you guys want to do and that we have the capability to actually implement in the game. Definitely gonna do. We think Steam Workshop is a huge addition to the game, and we can't wait to see what cool guns you guys are gonna come up with. So thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye bye.